Alright guys, we got a strange one. We got a 2013 Dodge Avenger right there behind us. We have a kind of a unique cooling situation going on. So as you can see down there, got like a pool of coolant on top of the transmission. And where is that? Well, that appears right above there is the thermostat housing, which is actually a very common issue on these cars. So we're losing a lot of coolant. This was up to here. We had it running. We were losing coolant. We tested everything for head gasket issues. You can go to any nearest auto parts store and get a head gasket combustion test done. You just have to buy the test liquid. But yeah, we had no yellow color change at all, so that indicates that we do not have a head gasket issue. The radiator was leaking and spilling a bunch of coolant, and we did do a very cheap JB Weld fix on the drain valve at the bottom of the radiator. But the symptoms that we are getting on this is that it doesn't overheat until it's in drive. So we could put the water pump to rest on that one. We can idle this car all day long. Nothing will happen to it. Once you put this thing under load and start driving around, that's where the heat starts coming up. I'm going to remove these parts for you in this video, and then in the next video we're actually going to start doing installations. We will title this video more of a removal of these parts on this vehicle. The first step you want to do is remove a lot of these tabs off of here. This is for your front grille. There's tabs holding in this front grille that'll go over next. But you want to remove the air box. This is pretty simple. It's just held together by a 10mm bolt right here. And then you have two of these that are held on. These are more just tabs. You can lift and pop it all right up. Make sure you have your sensor disconnected and other hoses disconnected. Next up, to remove the grill, what you want to do is you want to flex this down here. And then you see these tabs. I don't know if you could see them, but you see the tabs going across. You could probably see one right there, actually two right there. At the bottom here, you want to take a flathead screwdriver and just kind of jimmy that up, so that way you could push the entire grill forward to pop out of its place. See, this one's already kind of moving, but you want to do that for all of them across. As you can see here, the tabs are still all intact. I see a lot of videos where actually people have broken these tabs, so just be a little bit careful and mindful of that. You don't want to put too much pressure on that. Just take a little flathead screwdriver and just slightly bend them back a little bit, so that way you can easily just kind of give the front of the grill some taps so it'll slip right out of the front bumper, and then you'll have something like this. So as you can see here, it's not a... Anyways, got a rag in there now. I'll have to clean some of this up, but this is by no means a neat job. So what I did was, since the drain is actually clogged, or not clogged, but sealed off, we removed the lower radiator hose so that we could start draining it of its coolant. I have a pan down there catching it, or at least most of it. So you want to drain all the coolant you can out of here. All right, next thing we want to do is remove the thermostat housing. And so this cooling tube coming out here, we're going to stuff that with, it looks like there's some gasket material, maybe some O-ring material here too, that we'll have to take off. A lot of this, it looks like this was installed without a gasket. Hold on. No, it looks like there was gasket material, but this is obviously crushed and cut up. Lots of things going on here, but yeah, this needs a whole new gasket set. I think there is an additional gasket that goes on in between. I can confirm during installation when it comes with it, but this isn't good. This is probably our primary culprit for the leak. And to remove it, you have three 10mm bolts. As such, you have one here, here, and then over here. This will be kind of hidden away. Don't forget about that one. Remove all three. This part actually just comes out, so you could pop it off. This is just sitting on like almost like a seal around it, so you could just pop the thermostat housing right off of there. My throttle body plugged up, these coolant passages plugged up, and now we're going to work on removing the radiator here, which connects to the filler neck. pretty much that's part of the upper hose onto the filler neck of the, I guess, the thermostat, but it is some sort of attachment on the hose itself. We have T25 Torx, size 25 here, and let me just figure out what else to remove here so that way we can pull this off. Unless I'm doing this wrong, stay tuned, I guess we'll find out. Next thing you want to do, you want to pull this flap back, or you can remove this flap altogether. This is just more of for sucking air into the condenser and the radiator. But there's a 10 millimeter over here, and there's another 10 millimeter over there that you need to remove. Be careful with your hands around the AC condenser here. These fins will cut you up. But basically, we pulled the tabs so we could remove the 10 millimeter. You can use a trim removal kit to remove these tabs. And then what you want to do is, with the wiring harness, you see all these tabs, take your trim tool and just remove it from these several different spots here, and down there, and then unplug your fans. And there's another 10 millimeter bolt holding this together to your radiator from your AC condenser, right around where your refill valve will be. You'll notice that there's a little bracket here being held together by a 10 millimeter bolt, so make sure you take that out too. There are tabs on the left and right side of the radiator right here. So hanging on by where you removed the 10 millimeter bolt, you lift up this AC condenser like so, and then that'll get you separated from the radiator. So now we can safely remove the radiator. Once you can gain access to these two up top, the radiator supports, make sure you can get these things off. The whole rest of the removal process is going to be much easier. But you do have some transmission lines coming over here that are going to block your way, and of course your AC line that is blocking your way. So you just got to be careful, have some patience, shimmy it left to right, straight up, you know, just kind of shake it a little bit to knock it loose as you're going up, but just be careful not to damage anything. As you can see, the radiator's out. It's a mess. Here's our cheap fix, JB Weld with the drain valve, because it was just literally just crying coolant the entire time. So it was just a quick fix. So I guess it was just better to replace the radiator to begin with. So radiator's out, looking good. Just AC condenser back there. Got the fans out. Got little tip: get the fans out first. It'll be a lot easier getting the radiator out. Found some trouble over here by the transmission lines. Basically what you want to do is get this side out a little bit up more first. Then I find it a lot easier to just then angle it and then pull away from the left side, and then you can have it completely out. Make sure you bring a lot of rags. It does make a mess. All right, picking up tacos. We're finally done removing all that stuff. Just got a shipment notification that stuff's going to be in as early as tomorrow, some of these parts. Why am I separating the removal and the installation portion? Well, what I find is that mostly when I'm searching for a video on how to remove something, I only want to know how to remove it. I don't care about the installation because, well, quite frankly, I'll just do it in reverse, right? So I figured I'd just share some content with you guys on the removal of the cooling system on these cars. And then we're also going to remove the oil pan, but that'll be a separate video as well. So why did we remove and replace the radiator? Well, you saw the drain valve that was plugged up with JB Weld to seal it off because it was just spilling coolant all over the place. That was just a quick fix to get things working again, in hopes and crossing our fingers that was it. We don't have to touch it anymore, because usually a sealed off cooling system is a no-brainer. But it continued to overheat and give the same symptoms, and for the most part, I just wanted to share some content with you guys and kind of going over like the worst case scenario and removing it with all these other issues in the way. So the thermostat housing will be replaced, the radiator will be replaced, along with the coolant hoses. Why am I replacing the coolant hoses? Why is that important? Spend the extra $20, guys. Hoses go bad, okay? Hoses go bad. It's a 2013, it's a 10-year-old car on these terms by 2023. I mean, you're already spending the money on the radiator and the thermostat housing. Those thermostat housings are not cheap. It's actually the same price as the radiator. Catch you guys on the next one. If it was helpful, subscribe, leave a comment below if you have other ideas and other tips on how to remove these kind of things. And also, you know, I also have a TikTok because I think I'm funny sometimes, and also an Instagram I do photography on, and I don't know, I think I'm involved with way too much things. So yeah, subscribe or something. See ya!